Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Game on Thursday night. There was no secret. We just talked about UConn. There's no secret to UConn's success. Well, guess what? There is no secret to what Clemson did on Thursday night. They were the better team. They were more prepared. They were more ready to go. And oh, by the way, when Arizona made their run in the second half, it was Clemson that withstood the punches, and it was Clemson that ended up winning this game. Didn't do anything special. They were just the better, more consistent team throughout this game. And they are very much deserving of being in the Elite Eight on Saturday in Los Angeles against Alabama. Still, listen, credit to Clemson, but I'm also going to be honest here. Let's call a spade here. I say it often, especially during football season. The more interesting story is often in the losing locker room. And I am here to tell you the more interesting story is the Arizona Wildcats, who just had a disaster of a day in what was a disappointing end to a season, in what has been way too consistent of a trend with this program. First of all, I know I just said it, but if you have listened to this show, you know I told you all of this about Arizona. It's no disrespect. It is just a fact. I said, listen, after Arizona beat Duke at Cameron Indoor, I said this is the best team in college basketball. Said it after they beat Michigan State on Thanksgiving Day. But as the season went on, you could see they just were never consistent. They had great moments. They swept Oregon in the regular season. They swept UCLA in the regular season. USC in the Pac-12 tournament, I was there with producer Matt. They looked as good as anybody in college basketball. But they've been way too consistent, as good as the good wins were. They had some really bad losses too. By the way, they swept Colorado, which of course was a tournament team that easily could have been in the Sweet 16 this weekend. The problem was that they had their bad moments too. Lost to Oregon State at the buzzer. Got swept by Washington State during the regular season. Lost to USC on the final game of the regular season. So you just never got anything consistent with Arizona. And then let me take it a step further. Listen, I think Caleb Love has gotten way too much flack over the course of his career. We know how it ended at Carolina, and I do think Arizona kind of needed that alpha personality that Caleb Love provides. But I bring it up to very simply say this. I do think that over the course of the season, it felt to me like this. Caleb Love, like at Duke in November, it was a team effort. And Caleb Love kind of was the closer, right? It was like, it's a team effort, take care of business. And then Caleb Love is the guy that comes in, gets the foul line, makes big foul shots, etc. Well, I bring it up because it felt like as the season went on, it became more and more of the Caleb Love show, him taking over, him trying to do too much, and this team living and dying by Caleb Love. When he had, and I'm not trying to criticize the kid, I'm just saying I think it's a team-wide disappointing effort. But to me, when I watched that team, it was kind of sort of the same thing that happened in Carolina. When Caleb Love was really good, by the end of the year, Arizona was as good as anybody. But too often they relied on him, and too often when he did not play well, the team struggled. Well, what ended up happening on Thursday night in Los Angeles? Caleb Love finishes 5 of 18 from the field. He finishes 0 of 9 from 3. And he finishes with 1 assist and 3 turnovers. When your most important player, a guy that you have come to rely on too much late in the season, is 5 of 18, 0 of 9 from 3, 1 assist, 3 turnovers, that is not going to get the job done. That's simply not good enough. And so that was their downfall. But when Caleb Love took on that much of a burden, everybody else kind of got out of their rhythm. Pelle Larsson, 2 for 9 on Thursday night. Really, the only guy that came to play was my guy, Jaden Bradley.
18 points off the bench, 2 threes. He's not even a three-point shooter, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. He was the only guy that came to play. And so I think the best way that I can describe Arizona's night, producer Matt, do we have Jason Shears' tweet? Jason Shear is a great reporter who covers Arizona basketball. He tweeted this, and I thought it was perfect. You can see the tweet on the screen. Thank you, producer Matt. He said, Arizona, listen to this. This is from Jason Shear, my opinion, the best beat writer who covers Arizona. Arizona has more rebounds, more points in the paint, more second chance points, more fast break points, more steals, more blocks, less turnovers. For some wild reason, it decided to take those stats and take 28 shots from behind the three-point arc. All season, teams packed the paint and dared Arizona to shoot, knowing that was the only way to win. It worked when the offensive arrogance of the players got in the way of wanting to win games. That showed up tonight. Credit Jason Shear when you cover a beat to go after the team that hard. But he's 100% accurate. That's the only way to describe this Arizona team. Offensive arrogance. They felt like we can do our own thing. We'll figure it out. And they just never had that moment where they took over the game. With the loss, let me say this. This is a crushing loss for Arizona because the talent once again was there to compete at the highest level and compete for a national championship. I will go to my grave believing Arizona was as talented as anybody in college basketball this year. And I'll take it a step further. I still believe of every team that made it to the Sweet 16, I think they were the toughest matchup for UConn. Size, length, athleticism, toughness, rebounding, this, that. But it just never clicked. And I think what's most disappointing is that it was just another disappointing effort in what has become sort of a trend. Now, listen, I'm not going to be the guy that's like calling out Tommy Lloyd, third-year head coach, second Sweet 16. And I know there's frustration within that fan base, and I think there should be because this team was too talented to lay an egg like it did. And oh, by the way, you know, if they took care of business down the stretch, maybe they're the number 1 seed in the West. Maybe this isn't an issue. But with that said, it is another disappointing loss. And I'll say this, I don't think most people really know how disappointing Arizona, like we talk about, you know, the crushing losses of Tennessee football, of Texas A&M football. Arizona basketball has as crushing a losses as any team in this sport in college sports. Producer Matt, why don't you throw up my tweet that you sent to me that you made me look smart in this situation, okay? So this is from producer Matt sent me this stat. And I tweeted this out at what time? About 8:34 Eastern or 11:34 Eastern, 8:34 Pacific. I said, per our Aaron Torres media research team, aka producer Matt, Arizona has entered the Sweet 16 as a 1 or 2 seed 3 times since 2015. They've lost to a 5 seed, a 6 seed, and an 11 seed once they've gotten there. Few know pain quite like Arizona basketball fans. So thank you to producer Matt for that tweet. By the way, I would mention, you just heard that. Sweet 16, 3 times since 2016. As a 1 or 2 seed, they lost to a 5 seed, a 6 seed, and an 11 seed. How about this? 2011, they make the Elite 8. They lose by 1 point to UConn, Kemba Walker. 2014, they lose by 1 point to Wisconsin in overtime. I was at that game. But here's the thing. Arizona fans are used to this, and they're frustrated by this. Producer Matt, throw up some of the responses to that tweet that I put out about Arizona's downfall and disappointment. This is from Jackson Johnson. Thought this was a really good tweet. He said, I used to think it was a Sean Miller thing, and I know people are going to say it's a Tommy Lloyd thing. This is losing close games late in the tournament. Jackson Johnson says, apparently doing well in the regular season, then falling apart in the postseason is an Arizona thing. I don't think there's any way better to encapsulate it. What were the other comments, producer Matt? These are in reaction to Arizona's loss. Butkus plug that I think that's a reference to the late Dick Butkus. Okay, let's shout out Dick Butkus here and not look too much into that Twitter handle. But it said, thanks, Aaron. You are our support system. Don't know if that's too much of a compliment coming from a guy whose Twitter handle is named Butkus Plug, but again, it's a reference to Dick Butkus. And then this guy, B. Tom, basically said, bro, I'm effing done. After today's performance, I'm just going to walk away, maybe take up pickleball, but Arizona's never getting past the Sweet 16 with Tommy Lloyd. Now, I think that's a little bit unfair. By the way, I think Casey was the guy who also tweeted that he doesn't even care about Torres. He just loves producer Matt. He responded by saying, Torres, enough of you. I need more producer Matt. That's what Casey said. Torres said, I love producer Matt. But listen, this is the feel of the Arizona fan base. I'm not going to crush Tommy Lloyd, but I do think the bottom line is you can't sit there and tell me that this isn't a disappointing effort from the Arizona Wildcats. And this was a game that was there for the winning. You're basically in your home turf in Los Angeles. You're the 2 seed. You're playing a team that you're a 7.5-point favorite against. I don't want to say it'll never get easier, but it isn't going to get much easier, and there's not going to be much talent. I think from the Tommy Lloyd perspective, listen, I'm not ready to give up on him as a head coach. I know there's a lot of teams that would love to have him, but I do think the big thing with him going forward is going to be very simply, we've seen you do it in the regular season. 1 seed in 2022, lost in the Sweet 16 to Houston. 2 seed in 2023, lose to Princeton in the first round. 2 seed in 2024 when you got to number 1 in the country. You lose to Clemson in the Sweet 16. Credit to Clemson, but this is about Arizona.